How's everyone doing? I'm here with RoofleMonger, Blasted Salami. But you lot introduce yourselves, man, because I know you lot got quite a long history in the fighting game community. So you lot explain it to them, man.
Um, sure. You want to go first, RoofleMonger?
For me, my history with the fighting game community starts in the back of a biker bar in 1991. Because they got a Street Fighter 2 cabinet, and that's where I started. And kind of never stopped ever since.
I have a
Whoa.
very vivid memory of the first time I played Street Fighter 2. Like, because when that game came out, it was a sensation, right? Like, I went into this. Yeah, I'm not sure if like anyone outside of England will know what this is, but there's this family center called Center Parks, right? And it's like this family getaway thing. And I went there when I was like this was 1991, so I've been 5 years old. And my dad took me to the arcade there, and there was this like line snaking around to a cabinet, and those CPS1 sounds are really crunchy. They're really impactful. They stand out above everything in the arcade. So the first thing I remember is hearing like the crunch of Street Fighter 2, and like I just you really had to be there at the time, but it was such a sensation. It was such a phenomenon to be there at the time for Street Fighter 2, and my first memory of it is I sat down and I played, and the opponent was Blanca, right? And you beat Blanca, and he does this eye pop thing with his face, which terrified me. It's like hyperventilating. It was terrifying. So yeah, that was my first memory and of fighting games. They scared the living crap out of me.
Oh man, I think everyone's experience with fighting games. I feel like it started off with Street Fighter 2, if I'm correct. Because mine,
I
Yeah.
did play Street
How
Fighter
old you
1
are?
back in '89, and I thought that game sucked ass.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
yeah, it didn't stand out to. I didn't stand out to a
Yeah,
lot of
no, it was
people.
Street Fighter 2 that the magic started.
Mm.
Sick, sick, sick. All right. So today. Oh man, we're gonna be talking about fighting game community ecosystem, but we're gonna talk about it in different parts. There's three different questions that we have, but obviously the first one we want to talk about is just obviously the recent, I'd say, controversy with the whole Street Fighter 6 content. Now, I'll give a brief rundown of exactly what I think happened. And then obviously you guys can let me know as well. I personally think obviously there was a paywall that happened and they were showcasing something early. And then they had maybe like a plan to release each of those, like say for example, JP versus Blanca, um, Manon versus Marissa. They were going to release it at certain days. But what has happened is that when I saw it, along with most other people that saw it on YouTube, we didn't know that it was behind the paywall. I kind of just saw it and said, oh, this must be new content because I'm seeing a commentator, I'm seeing people talk about it on Twitter. I'm like, I'm late to the party. Let me go and react to it. Little did I know, I woke up and I've seen two emails that a lot, like I got loads of other emails, but those ones were stuck out. It said copyright strike. That was the title. And I was like, what? Me? What did I do wrong? And then when I've looked at the videos, it's a Capcom Japan, and I was just like, what? So then I've just tweeted. I think, the first, it's just a reaction. It was just like, all right, maybe I'm looking at everyone else's video, and everyone else's video was still up. So I was confused at the time. But then when people were saying it was behind the paywall, I get it, but I don't feel like there was anything saying that no one else could react to it or anything like that, because I was still trying to do my research and see what's going on. And from my perspective, I think copyright strikes were harsh. I felt like they could have just tweeted out saying, hey, if you lot could remove the videos, please. If not, then we're going to copyright strike your channel in 24 hours. I think that would be more than fair. But what they did do is just say, we're copyright striking everyone. And it's not like you can't take the video down. You definitely can take the video down without copyright striking. Copyright strike it's a big deal. And I
The
don't.
nuclear option.
Yeah, it's literally like showing your power for no reason. Like, and especially like, RoofleMonger has been doing a lot of Street Fighter 6 content. area, I know you're probably gonna jump into Street Fighter 6 at some point.
We have so much Street Fighter stuff in the pipeline. Like,
See
yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's just like when these stuff happen, it's just like, wow, like you could have chose the better option. But let me know what you lot think.
It's a rare blunder from Capcom's end because they've been so on the ball with everything community-wise for Street Fighter 6, right? They really could have communicated a bit better to video makers, YouTubers, content creators that this footage was restricted behind a paywall. I think it was a pay-per-view event in Japan, and because they surely they would have like had the foresight to think that people would make videos about this because it showed, Manon, for example, and like Marissa and all that, and they look sick and everyone wants to talk about it. And like they should have just been like, heads up, be careful, So just a rare blunder on Capcom's end, and I think hopefully they'll resolve it and take those strikes down. I think it's the least they could do.
Nice.
Definitely. Roof will let me know what you think, man.
For me, like when I saw that footage, so I'm just like on Twitter, I'm just like, I see the footage, I'm like, and like get up, right? Like new foot, gotta get to work, go. And so that's my only priority immediately. I see the footage, okay, let's go, let's do the YouTube thing, right? And then like after it's all done, then like that's when I learned like it's a pay-per-view or what, like to me that concept is very foreign. You ain't exactly seen the latest Call of Duty footage behind a pay-per-view or nothing, right?
Genuinely bizarre.
It's like, it's whatever. And like, generally when it comes to like leak footage or something, like, and I guess it was a leak, but whatever. Like, once it's out there, it's out there. That's the only thing I really care about. Once it's out there, it's out there. Like, if you're IGN or GameSpot, they're not going to get in trouble if they cover leak footage, right?
Sure.
They don't. YouTubers do apparently, but like IGN and GameSpot don't.
Yeah.
It's very true.
But yeah, regardless, like it's a road I've been down before. Warner Brothers has struck me over God knows how much Mortal Kombat 11 stuff.
Ooh.
Oh gosh.
We're gonna restart that dance come MK12 guaranteed. Because Warner is the worst for that.
What kind of footage? Just gameplay footage?
If I talk about something an hour before they're ready for it to be live, like they will strike a black screen and dialogue. Like just you talking about something. So yeah.
Whoa.
So, that's a fun game to play.
Yeah, I'm not trying to play that game. I'm glad you give me the heads up, boy, because if there's more Kombat 12 footage or anything like that, bro, I'm waiting for everyone else to.
Warner's like, I got the scars on my body from Warner, right? Capcom, no, that one's new. That's never happened to me before.
Yeah, because I usually get on it with this kind of stuff. It's the scariest thing to get a copyright strike as a YouTuber, because like 3 of those and you're out. Right, and it seems so arbitrary sometimes how you can get them. Like you got 2 in a row, like you're on the precipice right now for nothing.
I've been there with Warner. Like I've had 2 in a row with Warner before.
You had 2.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. Like me, once it's out there, it's out there. Other gaming outlets don't get judged the same way if they cover it. I've had people. I'm not going to name names or companies, or like people from other game companies, and they're like, they reach out to me and it's like, wow, this is really stupid. And I'm like, yep. And it's just the thought of like, okay, so say I went in ahead and I knew the whole situation out of it. Like, okay, so there's pay-per-view footage of this, right? The first thing then I knew it would happen is, well, someone's going to go buy the pay-per-view, record the footage, and put it out there. Which I guess is exactly what happened, right? Like, because of course it was going to happen. Like, how could you think that would stay hidden in any reasonable way? Like you can't. But
it's crazy.
In the end, it is their decision to make. YouTube will always side with the corporate entity over the YouTuber. So it's one of those things. That's like I said, it's happened to me before. I guarantee it'll happen again down the road. Like
I've had a bunch of videos demonetized, but I've never had a copyright strike. So yeah.
Yeah, trust me, it's crazy. Like I'm just worried because it definitely does feel like with this happening to me, I feel like what happens if there's something else like this, like Tekken 8, and they start dropping something and it's like, all right, something's on Twitter, they've leaked it on Twitter. oh,
Yeah.
all right, cool. I'm gonna react to it, and then all of a sudden I get a strike and I'm done. Like my YouTube channel is just out the window. It's just
That's
like,
the thing is like leaks are leaks. Like they're news. Like I consider myself a news guy, so I report the news. I've never leaked anything myself. I never would. But like when I report on it, because it's already out there, that means if I made a video, thousands of people already know. It's too late. You can't. You know the dam's already broken. You can't rebuild.
100%,
You know,
100%.
like, that's the way I look at it.
So like one thing like obviously we're gonna go into the next topic, but I think one thing that I find strange is when the roster got leaked for Street Fighter 6, they didn't target anyone, and I think that is a lot more worse than seeing Marissa and Manon like fighting.
Yeah.
Like the whole roster getting leaked, and everyone was documenting about it, and they didn't target no one. So
See, that one I waited 24 hours. Like that one because I'm like, oh, they might get hammery on that, right?
yeah,
And so I waited, and then they didn't do anything, so I did something. But in the end, that leak, all it really was a JPEG
but
versus footage, and corporate level. I don't know. Like I guess they might determine footage is different than a JPEG.
But think about it like this. This game, Street Fighter 6, is something that they want everyone to be excited for. They have shown all that, like, we know the characters that are coming. Like, imagine that. So we're not even, like, I'm not shocked for any character that's coming right now. Like, I know every single one of them. So it's like, don't you think that's way more important than seeing footage? We've already seen Marissa. We've already seen Manon. They've shown it to us. They've shown JP. So, like, footage of them, like, maybe doing combos and stuff. Yeah, it's nice to see, and we get to see them, like, the mechanics being used with these characters, but isn't seeing the whole roster a way bigger spoiler than, you know, seeing just footage?
It for sure is. Just once again, it's one of those. It's corporate. I don't assign a single individual's rationality to a corporate decision, because it's like five guys in a boardroom, and two of them are half dead tired with coffee, and it's like, yeah, strike them. Don't care. Go. And then
like
the next.
don't try to make sense of like the machinations of the YouTube algorithm or how these big faceless entities work, especially when it comes to, you know, intellectual property issues. It is so dehumanized sometimes.
We've all been doing this for years, right? Can you, with 100% confidence, say you know how the YouTube algorithm works? I don't.
I was gonna ask both of you two, how does it work? To be fair, because I
got
don't.
some ideas, but shit, I've been
It
doing this for
it's constantly changing.
For 5 years now, and I don't know.
Like, and that's why you should never like create videos to appease some arbitrary algorithm. Just create the videos that are meaningful to you, that you want to get out there, that you think are helpful or useful, and most crucially that you want to create. Yeah. And yeah, don't worry about the algorithm. You know?
Nah, I feel you. So, all right. So, second question now. Second question is, what is your honest thoughts about the fighting game community as a content creator? Do you think there's many resources to grow? Are there enough collaborations happening? Let me know what you lot think. Rufle, you go first.
As for collaborations, like, Aria, we've tried before in the past.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little hard in like a 1v1 genre. Like we're doing like the Virtua Fighter scripts thing and all that, you know, like.
Oh, sick.
We also sort of like this the issue with fighting games. It's like, you know, I think the word FGC is a bit of a misnomer because it implies a unity that's simply not there, right? There's no one like.
We starting already? What's cool? Sorry.
No, seriously, like, look, like, I don't even mean that in a malicious or negative way. It's like most people are generally interested in their game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and there's very little overlap between. So I've wanted to work with RoofleMonger in the past because, you know, I like his videos and I respect him, you know, as a person. But, you know, at the time he was doing DBFC stuff and I was doing Tekken stuff. So it was just hard to find an overlap there. Now I really want to get into Street Fighter 6 because I've played both betas and I really enjoy the game. So of course that makes a lot more sense. We can do Street Fighter 6 stuff together. We can discuss it. We can share our views. That's just logical. It makes sense, right?
Yeah,
but
like,
yeah, FGC has pockets. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like I'm in a position where I'm probably the guy who covers the widest net overall.
Yeah, you do a lot of everything,
and it's hard. And even then, like come Tekken, like, you know, I've played a lot of Tekken over the years, but I can't profess to be no Tekken master. Like Like I'm a Virtua Fighter guy in the end. That's what I'll say, right? And we'll see Evo Japan VF6 if that's the thing or not. But come Tekken 8, like you came to me for Dragon Ball, you came to me for Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, Street Fighter. Like, and I'm I know my stuff there, I guess, to a degree. But Tekken, like, I'll be starting near the bottom of the barrel myself, right? Like, it's hard. Like I'll be looking for Arya because like Arya's got like the best Tekken coverage, period. Like, not matched. So like I'll be looking at you, you know, like oh, okay, yeah, there we go. But yeah, like collaborate. Yeah, but yeah, the collaboration. It's a 1v1 genre. Like in big multiplayer games, it's easy to collab because like, oh man, we're in a party together, we're having fun, let's do this together. Versus like you're just
the
other
thing.
And like it's not quite the same.
Yeah, like the other thing is that fighting games up until very recently have had pretty terrible netcode relative to other genres. So like I might have wanted to play against RoofleMonger in Street Fighter 5 or Dragon Ball Fighters, but there's no way it could have happened. But again, with Street Fighter 6, we had a few matches, and there were some hitches, but it was playable.
It was very good. Considering we are almost exactly halfway across the world from each other.
Exactly.
So Street Fighter 6 was very good versus like Dragon Ball. I can barely do Ontario to New York, like
no, like my experience of Ontario to like Japan, I'm in Kumamoto, like Japan to Canada for me in Street Fighter 6 was better than some of the connections I get in Japan for Tekken 7. So they really outdid themselves with the netcode. I thought Strive was standard.
I really do.
You hope what?
I hope Tekken 8 has good netcode. It's the one unknown. Like, Street Fighter 6 have good netcode? You betcha. Will the Riot Fighter have good netcode? It'll be the best in the planet Earth. Mortal Kombat 12, it'll be perfectly fine. Tekken 8.
Grand Blue has rollback. Samurai Showdown's gonna get it. Tekken 8 is the big outlier right now, and and not just that, but when they brought it up directly in interviews, it's been sort of sidelined, and that's worrying.
And moving on.
I'm worried about Tekken 8 having good online. I feel like the base game of it, I'm still on the fence with, but I feel like the online for me is like, like I would imagine that they would, because Tekken 7 has been so successful, and to be honest, the only reason why it's being carried online so far is because of like the mods and the ranks and stuff like that, ranked play, but the online is not the best. It's not the best. So it's just, I hope, just for the longevity.
I really hope.
But
I think Street Fighter 6 is really hopefully going to spearhead the idea that like fighting games are like an international community, because I think it has the netcode to support it. I mean, I can easily see like doing a content creator tournament. That would be super fun. Like people around the world tuning in, doing a league for that. I think people tune in for that. It'll be fun. You couldn't do that with games in the past. I mean, possibly it might have been possible something with like Strive, but it's a bit too niche for that to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Strive, but but it's, you probably have to do it with other Strive content creators. But I think Street Fighter 6 might really ram that home, that like, hey, fighting games are an international community now, and we can all play together.
So like, basing off,
sorry, I'm not to interrupt, but like,
no, go.
I always use myself examples because like when you hear fighting games, like you're in the UK, you're in Japan, like all the big. I'm in middle of nowhere, Canada. Like the dude across from me, their parking lot, they got a tractor there. Like I ain't no ritzy in Montreal or a Toronto person. But like we're really everywhere. The big glitzy cities and the big international locales and like redneck country.
No, I feel it. So when I say like collaborations and like resources, what I mean, like, I don't want to throw anyone on the bus, but this collaboration that I wanted to do, it was, for me personally, it was a test to see if collaborations are strong in the whole fighting game community. And I reached out to a bunch of content creators around similar levels and stuff like that, and a lot of them didn't even get back to me. I didn't even get a response, and I was like, this is crazy. But then if something big happens to my channel or something, they'll be like first to be like, hey, how's this happening? And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, and this is what we call like, and I've always never Twitter bio, look anywhere. I don't put myself in the fighting game community category because I personally don't think we are a community. Because if something happens, let's say for example, like I don't want to get too political into it, but the whole Otoro stuff, like that was a kind of like it was kind of a downer, but like he's kind of everyone turned against him. But
it's going in weird places, that stuff.
Right. So everyone turned against him, and then he kind of showed evidence, and then people were like, some people were like, oh, okay, oh, well, sorry, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, why can't we just be an actual community? Yeah, like it's been for how many years? I've been in a community the so-called community for years, in terms of making content, in terms of competing, traveling to tournaments and stuff. But I've seen it for what it really is many occasions with just looking on Twitter. I just have to look and see, oh, if this person's in trouble, oh yeah, everyone's gonna gang up on him. Oh, if is there any collaborations happening? None. It's very close to like zero, you know? So, and I just wanted, like, before I give it to you guys, I just wanted to say that I've seen so many other content creators that have collabed get way further than where the fighting game content creators are. Like, we only have like maybe one or two that are at, you know, close to the million. So that's Maximilian, and there's like another guy called Super. But then everyone else,
he's an NRS guy, yeah.
Right. So that's from me doing my research. I didn't even know who he was before. I was just like, let me find out who's who. So like those were the two that I found that were at the highest. And obviously you got Eris, you got the main man, you know, Rufle, Blast Salami. But there's a very grey area between each of those stuff. And it's like, personal opinion from looking at YouTubers outside of fighting games, I've seen people do teams, groups, and they've kind of come up together. And if you look at their channels, they're all very similar. You might have that one guy that might be the star guy of the group that's got loads, but everyone's kind of together. And I feel like this is a major issue, like in fighting games community. So I thought collabs are needed, but I'll let me know what you lot think anyways.
No, I agree. I think, you know, you can look at other genres. You can, like, even when you put aside the fact that they are, you know, that's team-based in general, like maybe something like Overwatch or Valorant or League of Legends, a lot of those content creators, they work together. They promote one another. They help one another. And you don't really see that in fighting games. You're kind of like on your own, or you might have like one or two buddies and you work with them. And it is kind of like your own island to a degree. And I've often wondered in the past, like, is that something that's innate in the genre itself? It is a one-on-one genre. It is competitive, and I wonder if that mentality bleeds through into, of course, like the people who play it, right? Like this competitive sort of mentality. I totally agree. Like I think we all stand to gain a lot more if we were just a bit more friendly and you know, weren't so rivalrous and like just trying to help one another. At the end of the day, we're all on the same team, and it certainly doesn't feel that way sometimes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. Rufle, let me know what you think, man.
Well, for me, I would say like the fractious element, you will find that every other gaming community. Like, it is not just here. Like I see every now and then on Twitter, like when Overwatch or Counter-Strike spills over, like it's just as bad everywhere else. But yeah, like when it comes to collab, like I said, like it's inherently a one-on-one genre. Like it's if I were to play Overwatch, it would be inherently easier to collab. Like, okay, you guys, well, let's play together. Like you can't do, like, maybe we'll have that in that Grand Blue Fall Guys mode or something. That's where we start collabing, right? Because then we have multiple people in one room, right? But
that's not what I mean. When I mean like collaboration,
I know what you mean. I know what I'm saying. And different kinds of content, like so many content, like across whatever genre you're doing, it is like watch me play, have fun, and do silly stuff. And for FGC, we have a very big split because there's Like Ari and myself were much more on like the educational thing. And then there's other people like, okay, let's play, have fun, like, scream, rage out, or watch me do the sick combo, sick count, like whatever. Like, and that's kind of like fire and ice in a bit, because like, how do you even bridge those two gaps? You want it to do a collaboration? Because like for me, if you are a viewer on my channel, like I post myself playing games every now and then, but that's certainly not why you show up. And like to the point where like those videos honestly never do well for me anyway. So like that's not the audience. Like, I post those videos honestly when like I'm running low on ideas and I need to buy a day. Like that's for me. That's usually when that kind of video goes up. Because like if you guys on YouTube, you know what it is, like, the video to buy a day. Like just okay, here we go. Okay, now I can think for a second, right? It's just it's a difficult bridge to gap, because it's just we all do our own thing, because it's harder in the FGC, because I feel each content creator is much more like an island, like you said, as we all have our own specific thing.
I've noticed that a lot of the collabs are actually quite regional. So like a lot of the UK players will collaborate with other UK players, and that is a lot of that is because the netcode for fighting games is pretty bad. Like Americans or East Coast, West Coast, Japanese with Japanese, and again, like with the quality of netcode changing, I hope that is something that also changes, and that people realize that this is an international community. Because I think the simple act of being able to play one another and have fun and enjoy a game, that's really gonna build bridges.
I don't think
netcode, if you were in East Coast, North America, like why waste our time? Like it's not gonna happen.
But the thing is, I don't think it's just like we don't need to just play each other. Like I feel like there's content ideas that I have in my head where I'm just like, all right, for example, like say for example a new Tekken 8 trailer comes out, let's say today. We could jump in a call and just do one video, whether it's for your channel or my channel. I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? Or if there's a new King of Fighters, let's say for example, because Rufo, I watch your stuff and I've seen that you do King of Fighters as well. I do King of Fighters, like reactions and stuff. Even if it was just like, all right, I don't know, Kim, they do a Kim, I don't know, like a new trailer for Kim. Then it's like, all right, cool. If it's like, oh, we jump in, oh, Jay, are you around? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Kim's trailer out. Do you want to do a reaction? Cool.
That's fair, but then like say if it was just us three, so Canada, UK, Japan, so just hopping on the call to be timely, because you guys know that like being first matters a lot. Being very fast, like on the YouTube game, that is almost half the battle. Sometimes is being quick, right?
It's true, but a message, like I said, just even if you see if I'm awake, like bro, Jay, if you're not awake, I'm doing this now.
Like there could definitely be made more efforts. Could be made to make this more of make it more of a communal effort. I mean, this is something I tried to do with Wave Dash actually. For the Tekken.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but that's what like Max does. Max has his buddies show up and like they do it, so like it's on the one channel, but like it is that kind of thing, like a communal.
I mean, it totally makes sense that you're gonna have your own pockets, like with your friends, your IRL friends, and you're gonna be close with them because they're your IRL friends. Yeah. But at the same time, like there are communities and like a greater community as well, and it's I feel like like maybe these pockets are a bit too isolated from one another, and doing something like this would be great to break down those barriers, build those bridges. Like stuff like podcasts is always a good idea, I think. Max does one with Justin and Matt McMuscles, and
really good numbers too. Like there's definitely an interest in that.
Yeah, exactly, right. So like that's what I tried to do with Wave Dash for Tekken. I have another podcast actually in the works, with a few other content creators. I'm gonna reveal it later, but like. Definitely, when Street Fighter comes out, I definitely love to do a Street Fighter podcast, like with whoever's interested. I think it's always great to share opinions and just talk to one another, and just like because fighting games are an inherently communal activity, right? And you'll just enjoy yourself more if you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I definitely feel like when it comes to fighting games, I feel like we're definitely in a very, very small island, and just off what RoofleMonger was saying, yeah, like Overwatch, Call of Duty, all of these, like they could be just as toxic as fighting games for sure. But when you look at Call of Duty and I look at like, because I've been doing so much research last year, like just the whole of last year, just having a look at different scenes, how do they do content, how does it work, and you know, I felt like when I've looked at Call of Duty, there's so many content creators, there's so many streamers. If you look at Tekken right now, if you look at King of Fighters right now, Street Fighter right now, with just the grid stage on Twitch, you're just gonna see not that many streamers. And remember, Twitch is global. It's not like it's just in Canada or it's just in America. If you look, you'll see maybe a few people, like maybe 4 or 5 that are maybe in the 100 range plus, and then you'll see a couple that's not really in the 100 range, and then that's it. You don't see that many people streaming. You don't see that many people doing content creation. You don't see that many people collaborating, and I feel like that's where I'm trying to kind of push to. I kind of feel like the whole collaborating thing is kind of the bridge where I feel like it will help everyone. It might not, but for me, I feel like if there's 2 different audiences watching 2 guys do whatever, they might say, hey, I like that guy, I want to follow him. Rather than one person that's got his own village saying, hey, look, this is what I'm doing, come to me. It just doesn't work. It does work, but it's a very slow process, you know? And that's what I was trying to say with the whole Maximilian Super being there, and like it just feels like it's just a slow burner when it comes to fighting games, because I just feel like we haven't got that structure yet. Whereas all the other games like Call of Duty, League, like Dota, they've got their structure, and that's why there's so many of them streaming and making content creation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like part of it, I think, is too like just the game, the genre itself. Like because Call of Duty is bigger than any fighting game.
Exactly, that's the big thing.
Yeah, like
Call
that's
of
why
Duty
there's so
is
many more
order of
YouTube
magnitude bigger. The market
supports it easier,
normal.
right? That said, when it comes to like streaming and stuff too, like you got to keep in mind like Street Fighter 5, Tekken. Like, how old is Tekken 7 now?
Oh, 7 years.
Coming on 9 years.
Oh, is it 9?
Like the console release, 7 years.
Like versus
arcade release,
Call of Duty, like every year there's a new Call of Duty. Like so, like hype builds, new release. Yeah. Versus Tekken 7's been like it's still like for a 7-year-old game. I think Tekken 7 is doing amazingly, right?
Yeah.
But like if you like, what's the 7-year? Is that like Infinite Warfare?
Yeah.
Like,
but hold on.
No one caring about Infinite Warfare no more. Like.
So I agree with you, but we can't use that because League of Legends, how old is that?
League of Legends is also bigger than every fighting game combined 100 times over. So.
But how old is it? That's 2009.
Yeah.
And it's still like the highest. Like it's not like I feel like with them, they know what they're doing as just in general. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like with fighting games, I feel like
there's a lot more support from developers as well. They do go out their way to support content creators, and like yes, what you were getting at. Yeah. Like it's something quite sad I noticed with Tekken actually, in that if you go back,
you've had your problems.
I've had my problems. Yeah, like if you go back 3 years, there were lots of content creators for Tekken, and now there's just a few of us left, and I can't help but think, had Bandai Namco just given a shout out to a couple of them, there were like so many were so good, like Keith or Peter Mal, or but those guys don't make stuff anymore, which is what makes me sad.
They don't.
Yeah, because they don't, like they stopped making Tekken content, and it was really good Tekken content, right? And it bothers me because it's like, one of the reasons, like Tekken 7 success is multifaceted, right? Like one of them is because Street Fighter 5 was a bit of a flop and Tekken could take the spotlight. One of them is because Tekken was stuck to its guns, and it's basically it's a fairly solid game even at release. Like TWT was a great success, and you had this you had this very passionate community, just as it was the first Tekken in the real social media era. So there were lots of different components to it, but one component is also that you could go to YouTube and write "How to Kazuya," and like a bunch of different videos from different content creators would come up, and they were all of high quality. I think that really helped. And yeah, like, you know, there wasn't any support given to anyone. And like, motivation is not some limitless resource, you know, like we were really lucky. TBS was super lucky to get a foothold in, right? And that is partially luck, right? Like, we created this right video at the right time, and we got an audience out of it. There are tons of super talented tech and content creators who didn't have that luck, and it's like, why aren't you helping these guys? They're helping your game, so it should be a reciprocal thing, shouldn't it? And
going back, then circling back just a little bit here, and then collaborations. Yeah, when the corporation is putting their fingers in the pot, that helps a lot. Because like Blizzard, Riot, they are directly involved with the community all the time, right?
Oh man, I'm just smiling like a treasure cat, bro. You lot go on. Continue.
So yeah, so then collaborations again. So I have been blessed that every now and then I might get a key early, like a couple days early before the game comes out, right? But for the most part, like, it's a snowstorm and I'm trudging forward and there ain't no help. Like, it's just all me, right? So sometimes when you say we're an island, like, I am an island in that way, because like the only one pushing me forward is me. I ain't getting no...
Exactly. I have my team and we do our thing, and it like, yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
This is a thing where I will not name names. I have a relative who's a high up person at a video game company you've definitely heard of, and you've played their games before. And they talk about their whole, you know, support the content creators, support the community things, and he's talked to me like what they do, and I'm just like, wow, that's nothing like how fighting games work.
This is what I was trying to say before, because like most of the stuff, like, I feel like most of my audience, they've seen like a lot of the stuff, and you know, I've done a lot of brand deals, which is not Bandai Namco. Obviously, shout out to Bandai Namco because they liked my tweet saying that we're doing this podcast. So shout out to the UK Bandai Namco. Thank you very much. Appreciate you lot. Yeah, so most of the deals have been either paid stuff, but I've never ever, like, and I was saying this, I say this behind closed doors, but we're here and I feel like we'll be open. I've never been paid from Bandai Namco to do something for Tekken. And I don't think anyone really has. I think the most we get given is maybe like, I don't know, I feel like I got the Tekken 8 t-shirt, which was quite nice for Save the Date, which...
Yeah, I haven't got anything from Bandai Namco ever.
Damn.
Except
for passive aggression.
Oh.
I've never talked to Bandai Namco in my life, which I always... You know, I was like, for a while, you know, I was like, me, Jamcroft, Statadoye, we're like the Dragon Ball 3, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us have ever had one lick from Bandai Namco ever.
Yeah. They're kind of standoffish with
what? Wait, you lot didn't get anything? JM Crofts as well, never got nothing?
I'm thinking,
look, it's not, you know, it's... Whatever. Like, at the end of the day,
it's not whatever. No, that's crazy.
The guy who plays the Dragon Ball card games, who got all the early Dragon Ball DLC. He was like, he plays card games and stuff.
I know
like
you're talking about
the mobile game.
Yeah.
He's the one who got all the early DLC previews for Dragon Ball Fighters.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is what I mean. I just. When I was talking about all of this stuff about, like, you know, bringing you guys on and stuff like that, there's a lot of underlying things that I feel like a lot of our audience just don't know. They think, all right, you know, he's getting views. Yeah, they must be getting stuff from Bandai Namco. They're getting stuff from Capcom, and it's not. It's very much grassroots, and we've built ourselves up, and we've just done it from creating content and just being on top of the news, right? Or like
Capcom, I've never talked to Capcom directly ever. They have like a PR agency they hire on the side. Like they sent me the Street Fighter head, which is it's amazing actually. I use it every day, so God bless. But like I wasn't Capcom directly. I use it as earmuffs because it's cold as shit outside, right? But
I will say that Sega are lovely though. Like we created a bunch of Virtua Fighter overviews and they promoted it. They tweeted it out. Not just Sega, but also RGG Studios. You know, Yakuza, the makers of Yakuza, right? But that was really cool of them. That's something we've never gotten from Bandai Namco.
But don't
again, like like, you know, it's
Don't you think that should just be normal though? If you think about it, you lot are doing
It
educational
will be
content.
normal in a year and a half or 2 years when a certain someone's game comes out.
I think Project L. I think once Project L is out, I think the whole nah.
like,
I'll tell you one Riot story that has nothing to do with Project L.
Alright, go on.
So this isn't saying anything, right?
Yeah, let me hear it.
If you've heard of Runeterra, the card game,
Yeah,
this is
I feel
something
like
do
I've
on
heard
the
it.
channel, but, like, I play card games all the time on the side, right? Like I play Runeterra, like I play Magic off and on my whole life. Like it's just a side thing for me.
Okay.
And it was in beta for a long time, and then it had like its official. Okay, now we're 1.0, we're launching, right? And they had an invitational tournament, 16-person invitational tournament, 15 professional card game players, and me. And when they invited me in, I'm like, you know, I'm not card game guy, right? Like I'm fighting game guy.
Mhm.
And their response to that was, "We know who you are."
Okay.
Like their eyes are there. They're just waiting. They can't do anything yet because it's not time. But when the time comes, they're gonna do it better than anyone's ever done it in the FGC. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, I feel like they've gone to. I feel like fighting games are still in that. You know, they wait. It's still a very old school structure. I don't feel like we're getting the structure where they can see who are the content creators. Because even look at the Street Fighter 6 content. You document stuff on Street Fighter 6. I document stuff on Street Fighter 6. But everyone pretty much got hit with a copyright strike. It's like they just don't know who's who. So yeah, Ari, what do you want to say?
It's a Japan.
I wonder if
focus,
that might have been a blunder, like from some sort of PR company or something. Again, it's like at a corporate level, it's hard to know exactly where these copyright strikes are coming from, and very often it's a very dehumanized process. But you're right; they could be doing more to at least communicate to content creators that, like, yeah, maybe you should be making videos on this.
All they need to do is employ someone as a community manager that knows the community. That's all they need to do. Like, it's not like I'm not saying they're not short for cash to do that. They can employ a community manager. So I don't see how, like, obviously they're developing the game. That's why we have different sections in jobs. You know, you have someone that's developing the game. You have someone that deals with finance. You have someone that deals with the community. You know, someone that we can talk to. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, 100%. Like, you know, there should be someone who can, like, if you have a question or if you have a query or if you have a request, you can go to. Like, I've often had, like, things I wanted to ask of Bandai Namco. I'm like, who do I go to? Like where do I go? And there's like no one, you know. Yeah, you know, it can be like frustrating, especially when you put like a lot of time and effort, especially when you're focusing on like one IP, which, and you know, there are pros and cons to that approach. I mean, RoofleMonger, you started primarily as a Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah, like that's where I definitely started taking off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you branched out, and I think there is a point where if you want to retain your sanity as a YouTuber, you really should branch out as a fighting game YouTuber. You know,
There's no one game lasts forever. Like two, like
exactly. Yeah,
like I still love Dragon Ball, but like realistically, Dragon Ball, especially with the current meta, is on a decline.
Yeah.
Especially because that current meta is not going to change, so it's going to be that way forever,
100%.
which no one's happy with. It's
Yeah.
you know, so if
Yeah.
you stayed only a Dragon Ball guy, like in time you would see views decline. Like
Yeah,
you just gotta variety is necessary.
Yeah. You know, for a lot of reasons. Like, I think you know, I still primarily make tech and stuff. But again, we're branching out a lot into Street Fighter this year, and that's, you know, that's mostly driven by my interest actually, because for me, Street Fighter 6
do
is
it like
super-
for me, from a pure numbers perspective, King of Fighters content doesn't do as good.
right. Yeah,
I like King of Fighters, so I will support it.
Wait, hold on, because this is the question I want to ask to both of you two. Now, basing off of what you just said, I think your King of Fighters numbers in terms of your content do really well. Like, in terms of the stuff that you kind of
Compared to Street Fighter 6, no.
Yeah,
Like, I could just invent a Street Fighter 6 video that do better than the King of Fighters video. I could just say anything. And
So do you feel like, all right, so when you do King of Fighters, because I was watching your channel when you was doing like the new stuff that's coming out, do you feel like
when anything's new, the numbers always be big. Like that's just how it works.
Okay.
Like,
But then would you? Oh, one second. All right. Do you think that your growth when you was releasing King of Fighters, like like when they were releasing like each character and the teams and stuff like that, when you're doing reactions to stuff like that, do you feel like your growth was way bigger in Street Fighter when the new stuff is coming out, or do you think your growth was way bigger in King of Fighters because there was a dedicated audience?
Like I'm probably the biggest English language person that covers King of Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if you were talking just terms of growth, like the Street Fighter numbers way surpass anything other than like the day one, day two, like week one videos of a new game. They will always do good. Like I got like 2 or 3 DNF duel videos that have over 100,000 views only because it's week one. If you did a DNF duel video today, you would not get no 100K views. That's for sure.
Like I've made one Grand Blue video.
Being first and being timely is a big deal.
It is, yeah. Like as with anything on YouTube, like especially with the more niche fighting games, those really have a sell-by date. And if you're thinking about making this into like a profession, you have to consider that. I mean, like I think one of the reasons I've like Tekken has been successful. Like the numbers have stayed for Tekken for like high, like competitively, and I think there's a lot of reasons behind that. I think Tekken's a bit of an outlier in this sense because most games sort of dwindle over time, and Tekken definitely has dwindled a bit, but it's still got rocking good numbers. I think with Tekken, there's a big player base outside the US. Generally,
yeah, very international.
Right. That is weird. Like if you're talking fighting games, most of them, like the majority is based in the US, but from what I've seen and what I've heard with Tekken, there's a sizable European community, Middle Eastern community. I get a lot of viewers from the Philippines for Tekken, which doesn't happen when I make videos for other games. So I wonder if that's part of like this is a Tekken tangent, but I wonder if that's why it's still popular for this long. And that it is
There's
quite
like a casual community. Like realistically, if we're on YouTube and especially in fighting games, like it is the casual community in the end that you're trying to cater to, right?
Right.
Like if I do a big guide, I timestamp everything because I know there's the people like hardcore people. They don't give a crap about 90%. Okay, what's the Oki setups? What's this corner gimmick? Okay, now I took what I need out of the video. Good to go. And like, but 90% of the video is for the casual.
Yeah.
Like interesting. There, even though MK11 effectively is dead as a doornail right now, there is still a large casual community, and there, if you want to make content, there is content there that is doing quite well, but it's purely watch me play the game, have fun. Like if you're looking to make an MK11 educational video right now, you're wasting your time. But the casual community, like there's still an audience there. You just got to cater to the community.
I do notice that every time there's a big sale, like numbers generally go up, right? Because of course, right?
Like Evo time, hey, interest has spiked. Like
makes sense, right? Like bunch of new players come in. Like every time, like this Christmas sale for Tekken, like there was a big boost because Tekken's like, and that's probably why it got 10 million sales as well. A lot of them are probably because of its PC release. So, but yeah, like like on YouTube, it's like first and foremost follow your passion, but you also got to be strategic about it too. You can't. Yeah.
I definitely feel like what you said, RoofleMonger, about like content catering to like the casuals and the hardcore not really caring is definitely like, yeah, I think that is a big deal, because I feel like most times when people do content creation, they don't know, like, I'm not saying at the level that we're at, but I feel like when they're starting out content creation, they don't know who the audience is. Sometimes they're trying to do the hardest thing, and it's like they don't care about that. They care about it being super casual and just welcoming for new people.
The other thing is that if you're watching videos on YouTube, like often I felt like, especially when I started making I started TBS, I often felt like a lot of fighting game videos were sort of preaching to the converted. Like the information that you can convey in a video is best for a beginner player generally. Like the better you get at the game, the less your need for a video, because your development at the game becomes self-sustaining, right?
Mm,
But yeah, you might need a video to understand the basic ins and outs,
yeah.
right?
But
No,
yeah, like if I wanted to make a truly video for the hardcore, right? If you're truly hardcore, you want it quick and fast. Like, okay, so it'd be a 14-second video. Yeah, so you do the knockdown, you're plus 14, whiff jab, empty hop, and then when you do this, it's meaty. 14-second video, and that's not going to get more than 20 views. You know, that's the hardcore content, but like you
Becomes
can't do
increasingly
that.
granular, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, like, for me, when I do my videos, like I will have that section in the video.
yeah.
Like, I'll have a timestamp sectioned off, but like that's like this much of a this long video, and like so that's for the hardcore people at the end. But like you can't just make that video, and like you can make that Twitter post that works on Twitter, but like you can't do that on YouTube and expect to succeed at all.
It's true.
Like it just don't work.
So you have to, so like if there's content creators out there that's watching this, like make sure that when you are doing content on YouTube, just make sure that it is welcoming for people that want to pick up your character or even just the game that you're playing. What, just make it welcoming, you know?
100%. I try to avoid too much technical jargon in my videos now. I'll avoid terms like Okizeme. I'll try to say, like, if I have to say that, I'll be like, wake up game or something. Like, I try to avoid
try to
numerical
generalize.
terminology.
Yeah. Especially for me, because like I cover so many games, like it just melds together. I'll say stand light when it's supposed to be like, oh, it's not stand light, it's slash, it's not medium, and like no,
Yeah, like it just needs to be as simple as possible. And I feel like that's how people get into the content a lot more. But let's go on to the next topic because I feel like, the time, I don't know everyone. I know, Aria, you're what time is it over there for you?
It's about midnight, 20 past
Jeez.
midnight.
All right, let's get into the last question. So the last question that I had was, do you not think that fighting games will get to the same stage as League of Legends? And what I mean by this is there going to be enough like opportunities for content creators for, just, I don't know, maybe brand deals or something like that? And when I mean by brand deals, we get paid to do stuff. Would it be cool in-game content? Let's say, for example, I don't know, RoofleMonger, you're doing, I don't know, speaking guides in King of Fighters or speaking guides in, I don't know, Street Fighter. Eri, you're probably doing speaking guides in Tekken 8. Imagine that, there's a Tekken 8 tutorial mode and you're talking in that. That would be so cool, right? Do you think these things will be accessible? Would there be more microtransactions, for these Japanese developers to make money and then, pay people and all of that stuff? Do you think it's going to be on that level?
I'll say that, look, there's a lot of really talented people out there. Like, if they wanted to build a bridge from game to community via the in-game menus, which is something I think they totally should be doing. It should be like, when you play Strive, for example, you go into the lobby system, which is still hideous, but like the entire right side of the screen is like taken up with like all this stuff, all this information, right?
Tournament winners and all that stuff. It's crazy.
Like, why don't you be like, hey, like, this week there's this new, hey, do you want to check out a new biking guide? Then there's go to X, Y, and Z YouTube channel. Like go to Diaphone or something. He made a great new guide for Sin, or go to RoofleMonger, and it's just such a no-brainer way of connecting your game to the community. Yeah, like I feel like, again, I mentioned I like Roofle and I and you, like King J, we're some of the lucky ones. We've managed to find an audience, but like there are a lot of other content creators who create really good stuff, but they like like for me, if they promoted a video like that in game, yeah, it'll be nice. I get a few extra 1,000 views on that video, but it wouldn't really change all that much. But potentially for an up and coming YouTuber, it could be the foothold, yeah, and it could mean like okay, this person gets an audience. And and that would be the domino effect to them creating a lot more videos and promoting your game a lot more. So I think we're generally pretty good. This kind of stuff should be aimed towards up and comers, I think, because
No.
well, and us too.
I think it should. I think it should be aimed at everyone. To be fair, because at the
Yeah,
end of
yeah.
the day, like, yeah, liking a post or resharing a post is one thing, but if you're not doing it consistently, you've done it the one time, it's not gonna be like a dramatic effect to the video. Do you know what I mean? So
It should be targeted towards everyone, but the effect would be most pronounced on up and comers.
agreed.
And yeah, like there's just a lot of no-brainer stuff that the companies could be doing, like in their online menus, making links to new videos and tournaments. Just tweeting shit out sometimes, like that never happens generally, and it's weird. The only company we've ever been tweeted out by is
Corporate
I
accounts
mentioned
wanting
Ortega.
corporate things, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, they're quite standoffish about this kind of stuff, and that's something that I hope that changes.
It's so crazy because most of the time when I've done stuff like most of the paid stuff from Tekken has been from like brands like Alienware and all these other companies that are like they're to do with PC. So I'm like, what's going on? Why is there nothing coming from the developers themselves? Like, nothing coming from Capcom, nothing coming from Bandai Namco, nothing coming from all of these companies. Everything that's been paid has always been from a PC company.
I will say that, look, if Bandai Namco came up to me and they were like, here's a bunch of money, right? I'd be in two minds whether to accept it or not as well, because that would be a conflict of interest, right? Especially if I wanted to do
want to
like
be
podcasts.
beholden to.
Right, yeah. I don't want to be beholden to them. Like, if they want to promote my stuff someday, great, lovely, thank you so much. I'd be really appreciative. It would feel wonderful. But I probably would feel in two minds about accepting money from them. Unless it was like for a very specific project. But even then, I think I think the relationship between creators and developers, there has to be a separation there. But it should be professional and cordial and kind, and like, yeah, they could. There are some no-brainer steps they could make to make that a lot nicer.
The only reason why I mentioned the pay side of things is because the amount of you gotta figure it like this. I do it full time. RoofleMonger, you do it full time, right?
Yeah, my full-time job. Yeah.
Aria, do you do it full time? Or you have a
Yeah.
you have, okay, cool.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
All right, cool. So if you don't get paid, then that means you're not going to be able to pay for your bills. That means that you cannot do this full time. I'm not that guy that's going to be like, yeah, well, I want money, because otherwise there'll be like shadow raid legends everywhere and all of this stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you are putting in all this time and effort, because we know editing takes time, we know creating these type of visuals take time. If there is some type of way that, we can get some of that stuff happening, it would be great, because they're only going to give it to some other content creator that doesn't give a damn about their game anyways, because that's how it usually happens. You'll then see this person, I don't know, Joe Blogs will be like, hey man, I'm at this Tekken 8 event, and then everyone's like, this person probably gonna be there, care about it for the day, and then move on.
You want to, like, to me, like, I would really appreciate when they support the people who will be there after the first week.
Thank you. And that is what I'm talking about. And the people that will be there after the first week is the content creators. The whole sole purpose of, Tekken, King of Fighters, all these games being around for so long is mainly to do with the players, the content creators, the people that are commentating on the games. It is them that's creating this audience for people to be like, I like the look of this game. I might try it out, And this is why I'm saying that I feel like those type of roles, if there's anything going, it would be nice, because it gives them an incentive to push on. If I never, I've been doing this for years, so if I never got these odd jobs here and there that was paying, who knows, I wouldn't be able to afford a studio, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things, but it's those things that keep me going. And it's never been anything directly in between the game that I've been supporting for over a decade. Do you know what I mean? So that's all I'm trying to say. Rather than give it to a Joe Blogs that don't care, give it to people that actually do care, you know, that are supporting. Don't act like you don't see them. You definitely acknowledge, because the views and the audience that they're building for your game, whether it's King of Fighters, Strive, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter, you know that these content creators are there. So that's all I'm trying to say. But yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
like there is value if you get the big name for the week 1 thing, right? Like you get your superstar, like Pokemon is playing Tekken 8. Like that will draw numbers, right? Like there,
Of course.
like it's not a wrong thing to try and do. But like if you're trying to look like long-term sales, long-term interest, long-term like this, that, and the other, like Arya and Jade, Tekken 8, right? Like you'll do bigger numbers over time versus that week 1 thing. So there's definitely a lot of value in supporting it. Like, you know, like a bit of a, pat myself on the, like I've been told God knows how many times, like, Roofle, I bought this game because of you. You know?
yeah, like,
And like,
Yeah.
you know, like that means I am generating them income
But
probably a lot more than my, I made $50 on YouTube today, like
that's what I'm trying to say. You are generating them. You're basically the salesperson for the game. Like, I'm not saying that, hey,
it's a good deal for them. It's an unpaid internship, right? Like,
right, thank you. This is what I'm trying to explain. Like, I would probably never worded it right, but you've just it's basically like you're doing them a free service by everything you're doing. Same with Street Fighter, where, we're pushing out content. They're getting excited about the content.
that's why larger companies, like say people entering the fighting game genre in a year and a half to 2 years from now, have content creator programs that are dedicated with a whole support system for this kind of stuff.
This is
That
why
doesn't
we
exist
need it.
right
We
now
need it for other
for
games.
current companies. But
this is the thing, like, yeah, like exactly a content creator program.
Yeah.
Like that would be fantastic, and hopefully this coming generation of fighting games, the games themselves will be big enough to sustain something like that. I'm guessing there have been a lot of barriers to something like that not happening in the past. The biggest one being that fighting games just didn't attract the sales that a Call of Duty or an Overwatch or a League of Legends did.
like
But
it is and isn't, but like Tekken 7, like now, like, and granted it's taken some time, but it's pulled Mortal Kombat numbers at this point.
Sure,
Like,
for sure.
like
And
and Mortal Kombat's closer to Call of Duty than usually the rest of the fighting games.
right, and 100%, like, especially if you want to see the scene grow, like you gotta cultivate it, you gotta invest in it a little bit. And yeah, one part of that would be in just, supporting content creators, whether they're established or up and coming. It would probably pay off dividends for them.
Yeah, and like for me, the support I want from a company, I don't need a paycheck or none of that crap. All I need is like, can you please give me the patch notes like a day early or some shit? Like,
For me,
I'll kill myself to get the guide up. Like,
this is what really bothered me. It's like just basic communication would be so appreciated, because like I still remember, like, we created a Fakum Ram video. They released a patch the next week and he's different. And it's like, what? Like a little heads up before we invested all that time and money into making this video. Would be so appreciated. Just like a little line of communication,
Yeah.
You don't have to give us big spoilers or tell us what's coming next. But just like, hey, here's a heads
don't
up.
need to fly me and wine and dine me or no, like I don't want or need that stuff. I just need the basic necessities to do my job. That would cost you 10 minutes of your time, like.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Like, because I have sent emails in the past and they've just been ignored, right? So, like, if there was a community manager or something that could just answer, because, like, again, fighting games are a communal activity, and a lot of that community right now is pushed forward with like content creators like standing as little mini hubs, right? And it's like, yeah, if you want to invest in your game, invest in your community, help out the content creators,
Definitely. I think, to close this off, I think a content creator system would be very good if there was different tiers. So if there's like, just by like, I don't know what type of content you create, how frequent you create the content, size, this and other, maybe even like maybe tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I think that would be good to kind of like just see who's a part of this, because I think Capcom done a Capcom creator program. I think that's only in
I am a Capcom creator.
Congratulations, man. I don't know anything about it because it's only in America at the minute.
Yeah, they don't have it in Japan either. Yeah, nothing.
Well, they barely got, like, it took a while to get in Canada, and like I think I'm the only Canadian, like, so it makes me feel special in a way, like it's almost like they did it for me, right? Right now, I guess I could, like, there's nothing mysterious about, like, I think it's in its very early infancy, basically. It's mostly just a Discord right now.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
they're doing some stuff, like for me, like Resident Evil, I'm sure it's gonna be a big deal, right?
Yeah,
And
they're
just,
planting the seeds. They're planting the
I
seeds.
like I am a Capcom creator, but God bless you, I'm just not a Resident Evil guy. So when that time comes, I think that's when it's gonna start kicking in the gear first, because that just comes out before Street Fighter, right? So
Yeah.
it comes out in March, I think.
March 26th.
Yeah, something like
I'm
that.
really
So
excited.
so for the people who, like, I think that's gonna be the first big test of the Capcom creator program. And I won't see it basically because it's just not for me. But yeah, right now it's just it's a very interesting concept. It's just I don't think they've really had the opportunity to do anything real with it just yet.
It does seem like Capcom is going in a very positive direction with Street Fighter 6 though. They've done all kinds of community outreach. Like, there was that stream the other day with like Justin Wong and Vicious, and that's a cool thing,
That is a Capcom creator program. I will tell you that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's like, that's episode 1. But later it'll people who will be on there are specifically from the Capcom creator program.
Awesome.
that's really good. I didn't even know.
I don't think that's a mystery. If I'm sorry if I said that and they get in trouble.
Spoilers.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good to. I think it's good that they actually got like programs for content creators, because maybe there might be like even stuff to help them, even just revenue wise, or maybe even just like if they can give them assets. Maybe when Street Fighter 6 come out, you get like assets that no one else gets, and it'll be really good. I see a comment here saying you can't. So this is from IMC4IQ. He said you can't say creators make devs money without looking at the bigger picture. That's very one-sided way to look at it. I don't think we're saying that. We're not trying to say that us creators make devs money and that's just it. But if you really look at it, like most of the time, like when I stream and I play Tekken, there's people that are like, oh, is this Tekken good? Like, oh, what character should I choose? Oh, I'm gonna buy the game. That's a sale, No matter what way.
Copies of games. I've sold thousands of copies of various games. Like,
see what I'm saying? And it's like
they're not posting their profit net margin like, oh, RoofleMonger is the only reason we're in the green this year or nothing, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's nothing like that. But like, we definitely contribute to like current and future sales.
100%. If you watch a guide from any of these guys, and you're like, oh, I want to get into the game, and you buy it. There we go. If there's no content,
I remember I bought Under Night in Birth. I watched a cool video. I'm like, oh shit, this game looks cool, and then I bought the game on Steam.
Exactly.
And if I didn't watch that video, I absolutely would not have bought the game.
And that's along with thousands and thousands of people that consume content. If there was no one consuming the content and there wasn't anything eye candy or the educational wise wasn't good, then they wouldn't buy the game.
Yeah, and it's stuff like hobbyist videos like this. It's stuff that turns someone from a casual fan, from a casual player into a fan. So someone who'd buy DLC or merchandise or might go to a tournament or something. It's like,
100%. It's not only just content creators though. There is tournament organizers when they're running tournaments and stuff like that. If they're watching tournaments on stream or YouTube, they might be like, oh, I want to get into this. That was a cool combo, or this is a cool tournament. Tournament commentators, they might be like, oh yeah, you know what? The way how they commentate this game, I want to get involved and I want to be a player one day. So it's not just content creators. We're just saying everything. This is a whole ecosystem. There's content creators, there's players, there's tournaments. Everyone contributes to it. If there was none of that stuff there, then I guarantee the game would probably go into a Discord server game, if I'm being perfectly honest, because there's nothing like we've seen loads of fighting games come and go, and there's only ones that are standing right now. It's not a lot, So
I think this bringing up players as well, like being a competitive player in a fighting game is just not financially, like, you can't do it, you know. Like, if you're a tournament player, you basically have to also become a content creator at this stage, you know, because like there aren't
I
like, there aren't
wasn't,
enough
I
tournaments.
wasn't trying to go there. I wasn't trying to go there, but we'll go there if you want to. It's true.
But look, like, you know, it depends. Like, if you want to support this whole ecosystem, then yeah, like players as well, because you know there are very, very talented players out there who maybe aren't the best content creators, right? Right now, the only way you can make a living from fighting games is by being a content creator, I think, unless you actually work on the games themselves, unless you're a dev, right? Commentator or content creator, even commentators, I think, have to delve into either Twitch or YouTube. I mean,
it's true.
There's not a lot of money, right? Like,
yeah,
you count
like,
all the commentary, professional players, content, like all of them together. People who make a living specifically off fighting games that don't work in the companies themselves.
Yeah.
Less than 100 worldwide.
This is it's crazy because even if you look at it, like if we look at all the players, like if you look at Punk, he's become a content creator.
They're all content creators.
Kizzy K, Justin Wong, that's at the highest of them. If we look at fighting games, Justin Wong is a content. Nee is a content creator.
He's the second biggest Tekken YouTuber in the world. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you really want to, and this is one thing I was trying to explain, like, at the early stages when I was doing that whole content creation thing, is Smug is another one. Yeah, like, I've been saying to people that trying to be top 3 in fighting game tournaments is extremely taxing. Extremely taxing. Because if you're not top 3, like, all the time, how are you going to survive? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. So
you get your $11, you buy a hot dog and some bread, and you know, if you're not top 3, like, yeah, like you need to consistently place big. And like, how many people, like, over the years, like, you know, Keto, Daigo, Sonic Fox, that can consistently be like top 1, top 2.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even Daigo makes content.
Daigo's the sponsor guy, right? Daigo, he comes in with his sponsor reel that makes a League of Legends player look, you know, like, oh my god, that's even for a league, that's a lot. You know, like,
yeah. I mean, Tokido has a YouTube channel now too. Like,
Daigo streams,
it's
like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All of them. IMC Faki says, yeah, but everyone does that for everything. Yo, this is a new Coke flavor. It's nice to try it. Cola don't owe me money. Also, they didn't hire me to promote it. Obviously, the work we put in content creators is massive, but influencing it is self-implement that you get a headhunt to do, not to do something you owe me. We didn't say that. That's not what we said. We're not saying if you do a one-off. Like if I said to you, oh yeah, this iPhone is really good for pictures. Apple don't owe me no money. We're not saying that. That's not what we're saying. Like, what I'm trying to explain is, if, like, you know, we've done so much content over a period of time for a game, then, like, if the company recognizes us, they can see that we are helping support their game. It's like, it's with anything. Like this is why, not to sound too rude, but this is why I looked outside of fighting games, because I feel like the fighting game mentality is so, like, one-sided. It's like you don't look at different sides of the coin. Like, for me, I'm looking at, like, when I talk to other brands and stuff, they're like, oh, there's a fighting game community. Like, they're so oblivious. I'm talking about, you know, HyperX, Alienware, like, all of these companies don't know there's a fighting game community. And the reason being is because it's just not big enough, you know? But they will tell me League of Legends. They will tell me about Call of Duty. Oh, what game do you play? Oh, I play Tekken. Oh, Tekken. I remember Tekken 3. That is the classic line in the corporate world. Like, oh, there's Tekken still going on? Tekken 7? Like,
this is the thing. Like, you know, fighting games never, like, potentially we're at another renaissance, right? But fighting games never really got past the dark, like, ages, really, of like the 90s, right? And there's a bunch of reasons for that. Like,
do we have adverts on like, do we even have like even adverts on billboards? Do we have adverts on like, do they have adverts on buses and stuff? We don't even have any of those things. But if you look at games like God of War, Forspoken, all of these games, Forspoken's a new game that's coming out. Like all these games, they always have proper advertising marketing campaigns. Whereas when it comes to Tekken, it's like, oh yeah, we'll have maybe a Twitch advert that might be there for that maybe the first week, and then that's it, it's done.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
you know,
ongoing
go on.
/ live service games, which is what you should consider a fighting game, because Street Fighter 6 will be here year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5.
100%.
Right? And it's not just you buy it, consume it, move. Well, some people they'll play single player, buy, consume, move on. But for a lot of the audience, like, you got to treat it that way, and you should advertise it that way too, right? Like, that's why you'll still see League stuff everywhere, because League is still going to be here next year and the year after, and the year after, and the year after. And you should treat your game when you're advertising it as such as well, because that's what fighting games are.
Right. 100%. That's what, like, even like, I was even so shocked to see like Mercedes-Benz was in. They have the flags of Mercedes-Benz in League of Legends. I was like, what is going on here? Like, it's so
huge.
The marketing and the way how they do things, like that's what I'm saying. I had to literally dive out of fighting games because my head was so reaction, educational guides, this, that, and other. It was like I was just looking at fighting games. But then when I'm looking at all these other games and how they do their marketing and how, like, even content creators, how they do their content, their thumbnails, all of these things, I'm looking and thinking, yeah, this is a whole completely different island. Like, I need to understand what's going on over here.
Curious, right? Because fighting games, when you look at them on a surface as well, they're much more spectator friendly than League of Legends. I think, you know, fighting games are flashy and cool. Right. Yeah. So
Man punch other man, you tell who's winning and losing by the bar. Like, it's the easiest thing to perceive as a spectator.
Exactly, and they're flashy and cool, and it's like, you know, the idea of someone punching the hell out of someone else is something that humans have enjoyed for thousands of years, ever since they were Colosseums, right? So, like, yeah, I you know, why aren't fighting games as big as League of or something like League or Call of Duty? And, like, you know, there's a lot behind that as well, and that's a separate topic. But at the moment, like, yeah, the industry isn't big enough for it to really give. Going back to the original question, like, to have these content creator programs, like, now this Capcom creator program is a nice step in the right direction, and I hope, like, you know, Bandai Namco and others follow suit. You know, we'll have to see what the full extent of that is once Street Fighter 6 is out. But it seems like they're taking things a bit more seriously. I really get the idea that, like, with Capcom, I feel like Street Fighter 6 looks like a game they are investing in and they are supporting. And even from this early stage, you can tell that, like, this is not some joke for them.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I'm just thinking of so many ideas when it comes to Tekken. Like, for example, Tekken 6, they had Tap Out, and that's kind of like, you know, the whole UFC, MMA type of thing. But I felt like that was before its time. No one was, like, I don't want to say this and sound rude, but no one was really watching UFC, MMA at that time like that, like how they are today. Like, there's so much people, you got Twitter, you got, you know, when it's coming up, it's trending. Like, you got all of these things to kind of keep your eyes on that. Whereas when Tekken 6 was around, like, 2010, I can't remember when it was, but it's at an earlier stage of when UFC and MMA was going on. However, imagine, like, I don't know, Marduk coming in and he's lifting, I don't know, a Mercedes car and he's throwing it, something like that. Obviously, that won't be good promotion because why are you throwing a Mercedes car? But, you know,
the branding,
the branding, right?
I remember when I first got Tekken 7 when it came out on console, I saw all the Bullet Club stuff, and I'm a big wrestling fan, right? So I'm like, oh shit! And now every character I played had the Bullet Club shirt on, exactly. And, like, so why can't you go into a game and, like, there's, I don't know, like, WWE shirts or, like, what, like, all these branded shit? Like, it's easy.
It is easy. I know it's got the whole.
The thing is, you don't want your guy. Oh, my brand is losing. Like,
it can't. But that's
my brand. But, you know, but it's the thing. But yeah, there's a lot of easy marketing that is just left on the, like, when you say, like, why isn't fighting games doing better? It's because a lot of times, you know, just don't perceive. They don't see what the easy layups are, right?
I feel like they got the old mindset.
There's so much easy stuff, easy co-marketing, easy branding that is just left on the table, not even attempted.
Yeah, I definitely think they've still got that old kind of old school mentality, and I feel like unless Project L comes and they start saying, "Hey, look, this is what we're doing," and you start seeing all of these
Oh, no,
things.
okay, this is exactly what's going to happen because for the most part, fighting games are a Japanese thing, and Japanese companies are slower on the uptake for the most part. Like that's just how it seems to go in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Nintendo,
I mean,
close enough, right?
having worked in Japanese companies, yeah, like generally change is slow. Change is slow.
So now look at it this way: why did we get rollback? Because we were dragged kicking and screaming because of COVID, right?
Yes,
That's the only reason. If COVID never happened,
we would
we
have
would not have
rollback.
rollback. End of story.
Yes,
No. Let's
he's cooking.
take
Let him
that
cook.
logic
I'm
a
sorry.
bit
I'm
further.
sorry. Yeah, go on.
Now, Project L, Riot, a serious mega company entering with modern business understandings and leanings, right? And they're gonna do it, and then everyone else is gonna be like, "Oh shit, that's how that works."
Let them know.
And then they're gonna drag them kicking and screaming into the modern age.
Yeah,
It's gonna take the other company putting their balls on the table and stealing everyone's market share because that's exactly what's gonna happen. And then everyone's like, "Okay." Like that, we just have to wait for it. That's it. We have to wait for Riot to show everyone else how shit works.
I agree.
Yeah, like competition is very important. The thing is, fighting games got so small after a while that like there were only a
It's
handful
not
of
just,
companies.
sorry, I really don't want to interrupt you, but it's not just competition. It's showing up with your boat,
Yeah,
and you're on the shore with your bow and arrow, and you
Yeah.
see the guy with the funny metal hat and the big stick that shoots lightning, right?
yeah.
And you don't understand. That's what Riot is for the rest of the FGC. They have to come in and show, okay, we are this much more advanced than you guys, and you guys need to play catch up very fast.
They're basically the anime villain. They just come up,
Yeah.
that bad guy, and he's like, "Oh, he's got this new skills. Oh, we can't beat him." Then we have to go and sharpen up our skills to
And it
then.
needs to be the Spanish showing up on the shore of the Americas. Like that. That's how it is.
Oh
I-
man,
I think as a fighting game player, as a content creator, like the future is looking like optimistic. I think there is reason to be optimistic. I
Future,
think,
yeah.
let's have this conversation again in 2 years, and hopefully it'll be a very different one. Because I think this,
Well, 2 years and we're the content creators. We're gonna have our racing jackets with all the logos and shit on it now. Yeah.
it'll be like that bit in Wayne's World. I'll be sipping a Coke, and I'll be like,
Yeah, exactly.
I said a racing jackets, with all the sponsors. You know what's crazy
Yeah.
about that is, I think fighting games are going in the right direction, but I feel like we have a lot of fighting games that are not gonna be around. So like, we're gonna have Street Fighter, where it will be the king of, well, it'll be one of the best for 2D. We got Tekken, that's gonna be the best for 3D. But there's a lot of games that I'm like, where's Virtual Fight? Where's Bloody Roar coming back? When is Soul Calibur? What's happening with Soul Calibur? Every time they release it, it just falls off so quick. Like, what's
Always
happening?
just bad decisions. Like I love Soul Calibur. Like,
Bad
5 wasn't as good as 4. Reversal Edge and 6, which got better, but damage was done on day 1, and like.
I mean, a rising tide raises all boats, right? So like Street Fighter 6 is looking like it'll probably do well. Hopefully Tekken 8 will be a banger. Project L. So hopefully this will reinvigorate interest in the genre as a whole, so that smaller, more niche games will also benefit. And yeah, I mean, I would love for Tekken 8 to be such a success that VF6 is a tenable venture again. I'd love to see a new Virtua Fighter game. I know. Do it, Sega.
Yeah.
I am as much as a Virtua Fighter fan as I am a Tekken fan. So I'd love Soul
For me,
Calibur as well.
VF is my 3D game. Like
I love VF.
so like I really wanted to be a thing. Like, would it be as big as Street Fighter? Like, no, obviously not. But it doesn't need to be either, right? Like VF can be, the prim proper statesman's fighting game, and then you have everything else. Like, it does not everything has to be the big banger, right? But I just want to see VF6.
Yeah,
Same. All right, guys, you know what? We're going to wrap it up because it was only meant to be an hour, but it was 2 hours. When it comes to fighting games, everyone gets passionate. There's a lot there. I really enjoyed this. I'm not going to lie. I think there's people talking. It's got people talking in the chat. I really enjoyed it. I hope you lot enjoyed it. Again, thank you lot for your lot's time. Like I said, I reached out to a bunch of content creators in fighting game community, and not many. Like the next section, which is going to be at 6 p.m., is going to be Justin Wong, Kizzy K, and Lord Knight. There's so many that I reached out to, and yeah, you guys, I appreciate you lot for your time. I know it's late.
Thank you.
Ario, where you at?
I gotta go to bed.
Rufle, what time is it where you at?
It's
Pretty early.
10:50 in the morning.
Yeah,
We're on other sides of the planet, right?
Yeah.
Again, like
We're
for me,
exactly like exact span of the globe.
you drill a hole through the earth, and I'm gonna pop up behind this Conet poster.
It's actually crazy because it's like 3:50 p.m. over here, so we're at different times. So yeah. Rufle, have good breakfast. Aria,
Thank you.
have a good night.
Good night, good morning.
And then
Cheers.
I will catch up soon, you guys, man.
Pleasure, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Cheers.
All right, take it easy, man.
Bye.